Live at 2. I'm your host, Ronya Shimona. We have a little something special for you today. Every Thursday at this hour, we are going to connect two wonderful cities. Of course, Detroit, why not? And then Chicago. And listen, we're talking all about our cities, the big headlines that are happening, what's trending, whether it's food, culture, or the big events that are happening, whether it's here in Detroit or Metro Detroit or Chicago. And how about things that you could do over the weekend? The reason why? A lot of us take I-94, right? We head either to Chicago people come travel here and see what's going on here in our city. So we're going to check in with them in just a bit. So keep it here. But before we do, I do want to get to some breaking news we are following at this hour. This is just coming in. So, of course, the details are just pretty vague right now. But I've just learned that big news in the NHL world. We have just learned that four-time Stanley Cup winner Claude Lemieux has passed away. He was one of the central figures of the legendary rivalry between the Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche. If you guys recall, it was the fight night that had a lot of people talking with D-Mac and Claude Lemieux back in, I think it was like 20-some years ago. So 1997 was the exact date. So we're going to have more on that as the story develops, and we'll bring you the latest developments in the 3 o'clock and the 4 o'clock hour. But for now, I want to get to this exciting lifestyle show that we are now launching with Fox 32 Chicago. Joining me now live is anchor Anita Blanton. Anita, I think you're cut off right here.
I'm like,
Anita, do you see me?
We're trying to work this out here. Technology is so wonderful when it works. What up, though, Detroit? Great to see you, Ronya.
I love it. You got it right, my dear. How are you?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day here in the city of Chicago, and you know, we don't get a whole lot of those, so we really treasure the ones that we have coming off of our Memorial Day weekend. That's kind of, you know, it's the unofficial start of summer around the country, but that's kind of like our 60 to 90 day window of like, get outside, do it all while you can.
You know, I hear you on that, because that's how we are here in Detroit. And, you know, a lot of us have been out and about, whether it was Memorial Day weekend or even this upcoming weekend, because we have a lot happening in our city, which I want to get to. One of the biggest weekends here in Detroit, the Detroit Grand Prix, is happening. And today we have the media event. So it's kind of a little bit of a preview and a prep. But tomorrow, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have the Detroit Grand Prix events happening all weekend long. And so a lot of people coming into town. Anita, I want to know, have you heard anything about the Detroit Grand Prix? Do you hear anyone from Chicago heading out here?
Oh, I'm sure there will be people from Chicago heading up there. But I will say, though, you know, when you live in Chicago, you might go other places for fun, for different things that are happening, but there's just so much going on in Chicago and the surrounding area that no matter how much you fill your calendar up for the weekend, you've probably missed some things even around here. I mean, we have an article online right now about just this upcoming weekend, okay? Just this upcoming weekend. 41 things to do in Chicago this weekend. So,
oh my goodness. I feel like you need a Fox 32 things to do this weekend, but hey, 41, I'll take it.
Yeah, it gets pretty busy. It gets really busy here. So, I mean, everything from, we have the Windy City Hot Dog Fest, do Division Street Fest, and today the lineup for Riot Fest, this isn't this weekend, but today, the lineup for Riot Fest came out, and Riot Fest is always huge around here. So we welcome all of our visitors into town whenever we're having big things. And yes, there are still some folks who say like, hey man, if you want to go see the Grand Prix, go head up to Detroit. It's not that far of a drive. Maybe you can just, in fact, you know, during the we take March and the dyeing of the river for St. Patrick's Day weekend very seriously around here.
Sure.
I'm sure you've probably seen all the pictures.
So I see.
Yeah, and the videos online. And I was out enjoying myself for St. Patrick's Day weekend for the dyeing of the river, and I was with a couple that had just gotten off the train from Michigan. They came in just for the dyeing of the river, and they were going right back home at the end of the day. So, like, I mean, we're close enough where people can do that.
You know, I like to always say Chicago flights, super easy, right? Like 45 minutes to an hour. But then the train, I've never done the train, and a lot of people say it's the best thing to do because you get to sightsee a little bit. Really? I mean, what's your experience doing it?
Love the train. I mean, if you really think about the traffic, the traffic that you endure, where you're just sitting there and you're like, time is going by, and I know there's a million other things that I could do other than being in this traffic. With the train, I mean, obviously there are a couple maybe worst case scenarios, but you know, maybe it's delayed. Maybe you have a stop that's a little longer than normal, something of that sort. But typically, no, you get on, you sit still, maybe go get a little snack downstairs or something like that, read a book, answer a few emails, and then you're where you need to be.
You know, Anita, I have to ask you, because I'm a food critic, I'm a foodie at heart. When it comes to getting on that train, is there good food? Because I feel like it might just be a bunch
we're not
of, like,
talking gourmet food. Pump the brakes.
Oh, darn. Oh, darn.
We're not talking gourmet food, but
we're not getting fancy on a train.
Yeah, we're not getting fancy. I mean, you might be able to get like the, cheese and crackers and get you a little wine or something like that. But we're not really getting gourmet.
Right.
You'll get a hot dog. No ketchup for those of us from Chicago, but you might get a little something like that. Not going to get anything. In fact, for the evening trips, you can actually get maybe a little bit more. Evening and morning trips on the train, you can get a little bit more. Maybe you can get some pasta in the evening. I think they do like a pot roast in the evening or something like that. In the morning, they'll give you a little breakfast. But yeah, we're not talking anything 5 stars, just something to get you by.
Well, listen, Anita, speaking of 5-star, I got to talk to you about this because I'm a big fan of Sunda. And you guys have a Sunda in Chicago. And every time I was in town, I had to come there for that. And now we have a Sunda here in downtown Detroit.
Just
have you
opened.
ever been to Sunda?
We had Billy Deck on the show not too long ago. I think it was last week or the week before, talking about opening up in Detroit. Yes. So we have 2 Sundas here. I believe that they also have a location down in Florida, and you all are the latest on the ship. So welcome aboard.
We're on the ship.
Sunda is wonderful.
Thank you. Oh, the best, everything in the menu. But
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the seafood is incredible. And the chef does some really different, unique dishes, which I love, that you don't see often. So, hey, listen, whether you're in Detroit or Chicago, you got to try Sunda. Definitely the hot spot. All right, Anita, I got to talk to you about something big in the headlines. It's something happening here in Detroit and in Chicago. These teen takeovers, I know you guys have had a few incidents happening, even on Memorial Day weekend. Talk to me about your situation, and we'll compare what's happening here in Detroit.
Yeah, it's a tough subject, and I think it is really important to note that it's happening in multiple cities. So we've even seen, our sister station in D.C. Reporting on them. Obviously, you all are reporting on them. We're talking about them as well. This is some of the video from, the response to them. I think that so often, if you really think about, for any of us growing up, you want to be where your friends are. And I think that sometimes they might start off, for many of the kids that end up out there, might start off innocently, right? You just want to be where your friends are. But those crowds grow in record speed, right? A lot of the kids are able to follow messages online. Somebody posts something, all of a sudden that blows up. So we're not talking about 10, even 20 kids at once. These numbers grow into the hundreds very quickly. And anytime you have a crowd that, especially of young people, that grows that that large, that fast, unsanctioned event, so you don't have any type of oversight over it or preparation for it from the standpoint of safety, things can get out of hand very quickly. We saw that multiple times just over the last few days for Memorial Day weekend. Throughout the city, we had somewhere around 26 people that were shot. Now, one of the positive-ish headlines was the fact that there were no homicides. But I've been saying I don't think that's anything to celebrate, right? I mean, I'm glad that no one was killed, but that was a lot of attempts on people's lives, and so it's still very concerning when we see these crowds grow, and they're young people, and they could have bright futures ahead, and in the blink of an eye, those futures can be taken from them in a multitude of ways, whether it is, ending up in the criminal justice system, or whether your life is taken altogether. And we saw both of those instances just over the last several days. I know you all have as well. Here, we had one where 50 people were arrested. 50 people taken into custody during that particular takeover. And the verbiage over them, we can go back and forth on. Some people say teen takeover, some people say mass youth gathering, however you'd like to phrase it. They are concerning, and I think all cities are trying to figure out a way to deal with them. What have been some of the solutions or even proposed solutions for what's going on in Detroit?
Here too, Anita, we've had a few gatherings happen, and I call them gatherings because not always have they escalated into something, but they have disrupted communities, and they've prompted officials locally here to not only launch warnings, but we actually even had the mayor speak recently about this, and what they've decided is to allocate some money for some youth programs this summer. So it's kind of an initiative to get these teens, let's say, into some youth programs, maybe into a safe space. And they're going to spend about $1.5 million to this year's fiscal budget just to expand youth programming. And with that being said, also is our Detroit Police Department is also going to kind of work on ways to stop this, prevent this, with other recreational ideas. Now, what those are, I think they're still working out a lot of the kinks on that. And I think what they're trying to do is there are summer programs that are kicking off. I know even with the Detroit Grand Prix, we have patrols, heightened patrols this weekend. Of course, security will be out and about. Juneteenth celebration as well, coming up on June 19th. That's going to be a huge event in our town. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday because we have a lineup of artists, hip hop artists coming to town. And so the organizer that I spoke to about that event not only said that safety was a key issue and there was going to be heightened security, they even have a praise to God even prior to the event, just to say, hey, let's say a little prayer. Let's make sure our community is safe. So it's kind of been an effort, not just on the police department, but also from the mayor and really the community. We've all come together to try to figure out ways to make sure, listen, if you guys want to gather, let's gather appropriately and let's make sure we're not disrupting the community. So it's been quite the conversation even on our end.
It really is. And our mayor, Brandon Johnson, said something to that effect of this question of investment. Right? If you're talking about areas that have historically been disinvested, trying to invest in certain things that might help youth to feel like there are more opportunities for them, whether that is maybe opening up another center where they can stay later and have, again, some oversight over their activities. Obviously, we know that teenagers don't like a lot of oversight, but there have to be some things that kind of give balance to what they need versus what they want. So some areas where they can and should, anywhere in the city, in any city, they should feel like they belong. right? There shouldn't be the fact that they can't go somewhere, but how do we make sure that they're safe? How do we make sure that business owners, that their businesses are safe? Because many of these, we've seen businesses that have been, vandalized. Just this morning we woke up, we had a 15-year-old that was shot, and I mean there were like 60 evidence markers there from bullets that went everywhere. Wow. And in that case, bullets don't have names. If 60 bullets don't go in one direction, so you have people waking up, their cars are littered with bullets, all of those things. So you have to kind of have some balance to all of these things. One, protecting the neighbors, protecting the kids themselves, protecting their future. They're the future of our cities. And so protecting their future, but then also having some accountability there. And I think that becomes a part of the tougher part of that conversation as well. How do you hold teens and possibly their parents, because ultimately they are their parents' responsibility, primarily. So how do we hold the teens? How do we hold the parents accountable for being in places and things going really wrong? We had another teen takeover this weekend in Little Italy, where 5 officers were run over, hit with a vehicle. Wow. So how do you hold people accountable? You can't keep seeing things like that. No one wants to see that. You want to make sure that teens feel comfortable anywhere, that they feel like they can go anywhere, but that there are some cutoff times to that, because you're still a teenager. So even from the standpoint of holding to that curfew, and there have been bigger conversations about, we have an alderman here who says maybe there needs to be a snap curfew. And the snap curfew means that within any given notice, if police realize that there is a large gathering, unsanctioned gathering that looks like it could get out of hand or is possibly starting to get out of hand, they could call for that, what is typically a 10 p.m. curfew. It could be 6 o'clock. If you notice that things are starting to get out of hand at 6, not waiting until 10. That's kind of been thrown out there. This is like year 2 of that being thrown out there. Hasn't been enacted, but there's lots of conversations, and I think people are moving past, all right, we've talked a lot about things. What is the action going to be that actually changes the behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a conversation I think we're going to continue to have, because as we're shifting into this summer, and of course the sun kind of sticking around even really late. So a lot of people are hitting the roads and the streets a lot later. Of course, that has an effect on when people really go to bed. Right? Everyone's out and about and doing something. But Anita, before we go to break, I do want to mention here, I want to highlight some of the most trending things happening in Chicago right now. I know we have some things happening in Detroit. I also want to talk about some new spots, some hot spots that people need to check out. I'm sure a lot of us are trying to head to Chi-Town, and I'm sure you guys are trying to come visit us. So we'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
right, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:20 right now. Thanks so much for staying with us here on our Chicago Live Detroit matchup. This mashup that we've been doing. This is our second week, so you can see there's still some technical difficulties that we're trying to work through, but we just feel like, you know, these two cities are so significant in the country, and we have so much shared history as well, that this kind of feels like a natural fit to kind of chat with them about some of the things that are going on in their city, be it, you know, obviously from an angle we were just talking about, whether it's crime, but also the happier things, the soulful things, festivals that are coming up, the many different events that'll be happening in each city over the summer. We want to give this a shot to be able to kind of converse with them on a weekly basis, see what they're up to, see what we're up to, see kind of the shared issues that we have, and work through those. So right now we're working through some technical issues, but little by little we'll try to work those out so that we can get this all smooth sailing and really have some fun when we get into the summer months. You know, we're going to talk about several different things throughout the rest of this hour here on Chicago Live. We've got about maybe 10 more minutes or so with our sister station there in Detroit. Ronya, who is the midday host there, who's been filling us in on what's going on there. They have launched their Detroit mayor this Occupy the Summer initiative. That's one of the things that she was just talking about with us, where they're trying to keep the recreation centers open until 11 p.m. to try to help young people in that area have a little bit more to do later into the evening, so that we're not seeing some of these teen takeovers or mass gatherings that we have been seeing in our area and theirs. So that's just, you know, one of the positive things that can come out from these types of discussion, to see what's happening, what may be working, you know, what other cities are trying even that may be helpful even in our area, and to kind of have this discussion where we can bounce ideas off of each other. What's going on in Detroit, what's going on in Chicago, and how can we better each one of these cities over time. Ronya's back with us.
What's going on here? But I'm going to take over this next conversation because I do want to talk about what's trending and what's hot in Chicago right now. There's a lot of things happening here in Detroit. We have the Best of Detroit party happening tomorrow, actually. It's a sold-out show. And we have a few other things coming up. But before we get into the Grand Prix and the Best of Detroit party, Anita, I want to talk about the Summer Energy Kickoff happening right now there. What's the hot spot that everyone needs to go to if they're coming to Chicago? Is it the beach? Is it a game? Is it a restaurant? Talk to me.
Listen, I feel like the lakefront, the beaches on the lakefront are like our little, we try not to gatekeep, but that's like, you know, one of the places where it's just not talked about as much. I mean, people from all over the country, what we were talking about before, I mean, they'll see the headlines about, you know, some of the bad things, right? All over the country. They will see some of the headlines about some of the bad things that happen. But that is the duality of Chicago and maybe for Detroit that we deal with, especially when it comes to the summertime, is that, yes, we've got to work on these issues. We've got to work on the crime. We've got to work on, you know, what are the solutions to some of those things. But on the other half, we're just so excited to be outside again. And so we've got wonderful places to go. The lakefront beaches are part of that greater landscape that we have that so many people love to get to in our area. I will tell you, if you're coming here, you got to get out to the lakefront beaches. But yeah, that's not something that people across the country see. So in our era of friendship with Detroit, I'm telling you all, when you come to Chicago, come on and come to the lakefront beaches. But you know, that's just not one of the things that most people know about.
I'm curious, Anita, do you guys have a tower cam of the beach you could pop up anywhere? I'd love to see what it looks like out there right now.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at
out at the lakefront.
Beautiful. That's
the lakefront trail. And you'll see people, you know, running on it, north, south. Look at that. Okay, so here's one of the things, Ronya.
Beautiful.
For a little history, the Wizard of Oz was actually based on Chicago. And can't you see it from this view?
I see it
This
now.
is our 2800 camera.
I see it now.
Yep. And if you really, you when you look at this camera, this is what you see. You see the road to the Emerald City. right?
I see the road to the. I do. I think it's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's the best is this. It's a perfect weekend to head out there. But listen, if you're not heading out there, we need. Do you say Chicagoans? Is that how you say
Chicagoans?
it? Chicagoans.
Chicagoans.
Chicagoans. We need the Chicagoans to come to Detroit because this weekend. Yeah, I mean, we have the Detroit Grand Prix. I know we've been talking about this a lot, but I want to take a live picture here because, listen, this is going to be a this or that segment. Is it Chicago or is it Detroit? So let's take the live picture of Remote 6, Tom. So we have the start of a Detroit Grand Prix happening today. This is kind of just the highlight of it all. And then tomorrow, here we go. So look at this, because not only do you have the Rensen building right behind that, but it's just so picturesque. These streets are going to be revved up tomorrow. I know there's going to be vendors all over the place, food trucks all over the place. And on top of it all, we actually have a Tigers game going on right now as well. So our downtown is super busy right now.
Yeah.
I only see a few empty seats out there. Obviously the game is coming close to an end. I don't know what the score is. I'm not even keeping up because I'm so excited to talk to you. But you know, it's just this brilliancy of a weekend with weather and events. And there's even the beautiful Machine Magazine party happening on Saturday. And I don't know if you've been out here, Anita, in a while, but the riverfront is fantastic. Belle Isle is now seeing record numbers of people heading to just really walk the waterfront. So we have a good here too.
You know what? I have been wanting for several years to come out to the Jazz Fest there. I have seen phenomenal pictures of the boats on the water and people and listening to the music and vibing out. So at some point I'm going to have to get there for the Jazz Fest. But no, I love Detroit. I think it's a wonderful city. Have great folks who I call, close friends who live there and enjoy time there on a regular basis. Great pictures here that we're getting from you all. And for sure, when the weather cooperates for either one of our cities, there's just plenty to do. So some of the things that are going to be going on here over the next few days as we go into our, the WGCI weekend is happening on May 29th. They're going to be doing their big thing. So WGCI is a big radio station here in Chicago. We actually share a building with them, so that's why I'm giving them a shout out. May 29th, they have a big thing that they're doing at the House of Blues Chicago. We have Dumpster Funk that's going to be at Garcia Chicago. Dumpster Funk comes out of Louisiana. I mean, they're phenomenal. I went to go see them at the Salt Shed here last year. They're great. Let's see, who else do we have? Bluegrass Brunch, the Deep Dish Castaways at Castaways. That's out on the water, so you can kind of take in the water, take in the music, all of those things. Romeo Santos and Prince Royce will be at Allstate Arena. All of that's happening. Let's see, that's just on May 29th. Yep. All right. So let me take you through a couple of other things. You mentioned the Tigers. Well, May 30th, Chicago White Sox versus Detroit Tigers. May 29th and 30th.
Well, just so you know, that's my birthday.
So
the Tigers
happy
better
early
win.
birthday. Happy early birthday to you. Let's see, who else do we have? Plenty of comedy shows. I mean, we've really listed so many different things here on our website, and this is what I mean. I can pack my schedule over the weekend and I'll still feel like I left a lot on the table. I mean, Division Street Fest is always huge. Just so many things that are going to be going on. It's hard to do them all, but the one thing is for sure, there's something for everyone.
And you know what? It's hard to go through this whole list because we ran out of time. We had so much fun, Anita, that I have to go. I'm getting, my EP's like, we got to end this show. So we'll be back next week and hope it's just as fun, if not even more exciting, if this wasn't for the technical difficulties. But we'll see you next week, Anita.
We'll smooth it out. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, let's take a 2-minute break on our end, and then we'll get to our first conversation here in the city of Chicago coming up. right, everyone, 1:32 right now, back here. We were trying something new, and so we're going to continue to work out the kinks, but thank you for bearing with us as we are working through all of that. Want to, chat with our sister stations throughout the country, and so we start with Detroit, and this is week 2, so we've got a few kinks in the system to work through, but that's part of starting something new. So glad to be able to chat with Ronya Shimona from Detroit 2, and we'll see how things go over time, if we're able to continue to do that and kind of build on it. But let's talk about what's happening here at home. We've got a few things that we're going to get into. We have Saquon, who's been on a story that I actually mentioned when I was talking with Ronya. First thing in the morning, it's just so hard to take in the fact that we had a 15-year-old that was shot in a barrage of gunfire, and easily 60 evidence markers that were found in this area of Bronzeville first thing this morning. It's so sad. I mean, say talk to a few of the neighbors in that area. One, they're waking up to many of their cars had bullet holes in them, but outside of the property, you've got a kid, 15-year-old, who was shot in their neighborhood. So many of them heard a lot of gunshots. At least 10 vehicles had damage by bullets. And again, about 60 evidence markers in this area. 15-year-old critically wounded, shot in the face. This was early this morning in Bronzeville. No arrests. No arrests made. Detectives are investigating, though, so hopefully we find out a little bit more information. But it looks like this possibly happened around 3 o'clock this morning at 48th Street and Calumet Avenue. And so we have more of the information on our website. Many of the people that say talk to that feeling of sadness, feeling of frustration, because as we were saying when we were speaking with our sister station, like you want those of us who love kids, love youth, love on them, you want them to shine. You do not want to see this. You don't want to see it over and over at that. And we're kind of in that space right now. And it's very troubling, I think, for all who want to see these young people rise and shine and thrive. So we have information about what happened here and what comes next. Again, as the police were in the early stages of the investigation for this particular incident, we have also some, quotes from people who were in the area who woke up to very sad scene in their neighborhood this morning. Yesterday in our 3 o'clock hour, I believe, we talked to Tia Ewing. Maybe it was the 2 o'clock hour. We talked to Tia Ewing about a story that she was working on for the day about this Hammond mother who was really trying to make something happen for her daughter before today at 8 a.m. So the time frame was super tight, but according to the mother, her daughter, who is an honor student in middle school, kind of got mixed up with some kids who told her she was, they were kind of giving her candy, but it turned out to be an edible. And so the mother, gets a phone call from the school, come pick up her daughter. But she didn't get a lot of an explanation from the school, according to the mother, all of this coming from the mother. And so her daughter, even though maybe she wasn't the one that brought these edibles to school, and maybe she unknowingly took the edible thinking it was just candy, her daughter was given her diploma but was restricted from walking with her class. And the mother was saying, she had already had people come in town for this what's supposed to be a wonderful occasion of her daughter graduating middle school, going on to high school. And again, really not sure whether that worked out by this morning, but Tia did reach out to the school. It was Charles Scott Middle School. She did reach out to them. At last check, they had not responded, and again, that graduation was supposed to be first thing this morning, so I'm not sure if the mother's efforts were effective in getting her daughter back in that graduation lineup, but sad situation for her. We also have information on our website about a man found guilty in a 2003 murder of an Aurora mother whose remains were found nearly 2 decades later. Now, we know a lot of people love true crime stories, and for a lot of families that you hear or you find out that your loved one is missing, these families wait years, and in this case decades, to hear something. Our reporter Lawrence Cafidi was on this yesterday, and in talking to the friends, the sister of this woman, Taisha Bell, she was 22 at the time. They're like, all those years, they just kind of waited, thinking maybe she's just going to walk in one day. Maybe she's just going to put in a phone call one day, because they had nothing for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, there's an area that's being developed, and the construction team comes across bones, remains, turn out to be human remains, turns out to break this case. That was 2020, after she had disappeared in 2003. So 17 years they waited for any type of news, and this was among the worst types of phone calls you could get, that the news was her remains were discovered in 2020. And after they did the autopsy, they found out how she died, and that just brought about one development after another, to the point of this man, Prince Cunningham, being now convicted by a jury. He was brought in, arrested, all of those things. Now we're at the point he's been convicted by a jury. And so as Lauren spoke to the family members there, they just talked about what he robbed them of. There is the belief, the prosecutors presented the case that he had killed Taisha to avoid child support. I believe that their child was like 2 years old at the time. Well, then the 2-year-old has no mother, and now no father that will be out to be able to support them. So more than 20 years. And at least the family is getting some type of justice. Again, a conviction in this case that took quite a while to bring about, but it just goes to show that for many families who are out there maybe still holding out hope, you never know what that small thing may be that then just brings about the avalanche of things that will come after that, so that you can finally get to, at the very least, some type of justice. You can't bring her back. And as the sister of Taisha was saying in the piece that Lawrence Cafidi put together, these kids who, even as I was seeing this yesterday, I'm thinking like, gosh, they're in their 20s now. These young ladies, the 2-year-old who is now, in her 20s, she grew up without a mother. Now you have the devastation of learning that the person, that your father was the one who took your mother's life. How you deal with that, that's a lot. And on top of that, learning how your mother died. And as the sister was saying, in your 20s, maybe you're at the point where you're looking to get married, or have a child, or something of that nature, or these life moments that you will not have your mother there for. And he robbed them of that. So the sentencing is July 31st. The full kind of readout of the court proceedings yesterday is on our website. It's a lot to take in, but obviously it's not an isolated case. And so for those of you all who kind of like to get into court cases and find out what was it, the small detail that led to everything else, we have all of that information there for you as well. I'll give you maybe one more story that we have on our website before we kind of move on with our discussions here on the show. And this is a dogfighting ring investigation in the Chicago suburbs that's led to 2 arrests. And the prosecutors here say this was most disturbing. So 2 people that have been arrested after they uncovered alleged dogfighting. This was in Pembroke Township. suburb of Chicago here. Authorities say they found evidence of prolonged animal abuse. One suspect also faces fentanyl-related charges here, so you've got a lot going on in this case. Kankakee County Sheriff's deputies that executed a warrant for this, going into a property and finding just horrific types of things there in that property that all kind of led to where we are now with this. The 2 counts of animal torture, counts of aggravated cruelty to animals, also the drug charges for manufacturing or delivery of fentanyl, and aggravated fleeing or eluding for trying to get away. So there's plenty of information about this on here as well. Obviously, anytime you have, allegations of dog fighting, there are some pretty disturbing things in this. Fighting pits, weighted training collars, spring poles, treadmills that were modified to force dogs to run continuously. There's a lot there. And we have that information on our website as well. So there's plenty for you to check out. And I always tell everyone that, even as we're talking to you about what's on our website right now, our web team is probably updating it with even more. So fox32chicago.com, you can go there, get all the information you need and more. That's all there. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then we'll get into our first discussion of the hour here at home. And that's going to be about something, as we are out and about a little bit more here in the city, because we love summertime shy. We love to take in all things except maybe clouds of small flies, and people are seeing more and more of them. We're going to get into what you're seeing, where you're seeing it, and more coming up after this. Give us 2 minutes. All right, 1:46, everyone. Feels like we've been waiting for summer forever. All those cloudy, cold days, well, even just last weekend. But anyway, when we finally get a string of beautiful weather that we are experiencing right now, you want to get out and about and soak up the sun, get a little vitamin D, all of those things. But it comes with some drawbacks as well, unfortunately, like these little small flies, and it's never just one of them. They always come with their friends. They hang out in big groups. We have Alan Lawrence, who's an associate curator of entomology at the Peggy Noda Museum, the Nature Museum, joining us now to talk a little bit about what we're seeing, how long they'll be around, all of those things. Thanks for being back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now is it like a set prescription that like they come at a certain time of year? Like, is there a date that we should watch for them? What's going on?
Yeah, we tend to see a mass emergence of these little midges every spring. The exact time when they come out, though, does vary. It can be a little bit earlier, a little bit late, but around, I think a couple weeks around Mother's Day, that's usually the time to look out.
Aha. And what is it about right around Mother's Day that gives them the okay to come out in force?
Yeah, it's just the way their life cycles are timed. What's important for these midges is that a lot of them emerge at the same time because they don't live for very long, only for really a few days. And then you'll notice they form these mass clouds of flies flying around. Those are all male midges, and then the female midge will go fly into the cloud and find a mate in there. But they all need to be out at the same time if they're going to find their mates.
Oh my goodness. So this is all about mating.
Mm-hmm.
Ew. I mean, the circle of life. So birds actually eat them.
Yeah, midges are a really important food source in our food webs here. So birds eat them, and that's especially important around this time of year as we're at the tail end of the spring migration of birds. But also bats, dragonflies, spiders, other arachnids and insects will eat them, as well as fish, things like lake sturgeon and lake whitefish.
So we actually need them.
Yes, they're a really important food source.
Okay, so we don't need to go out and just like spray when we see them. They're actually something that, it's just...
Correct. Yeah. A couple reasons you don't need to spray. One, they're beneficial. Two, they're not going to be around for very long. In about 2 weeks, their numbers will kind of wane.
Interesting.
And they'll just kind of go away. Now, there will be some midges out throughout the year, but not quite as many as now. And there really are a lot now. Like, I just walked outside the office a couple minutes ago and collected a whole bunch of midges just right on the walls of the Nature Museum.
Oh my goodness. That was gross. What do you do with that? What do you do with...
I just wanted to show them off. I'll take them back out and let them go. But the great thing about these midges is they belong to this family, Ceratopagonidae, that are specifically non-biting midges. So they don't have the mouth parts to be able to bite us. They're completely harmless. You can walk through a cloud, you might get swarmed, but they're not going to hurt you. So there's really no need to spray for them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you go out, you're like, they're like, the clouds are so big.
Yeah, they're pretty huge because there are so many midges. But I gotta say, it's actually a plus for me when they're out, because if you see a nice cloud of them, I think it's fun to kind of just lay back and watch them. And it's kind of like watching a huge bird swarm, and it's just fun to see the shapes and figures of these fly clouds shifting in the sky.
That's why you do what you do. That's why you do. Listen, we're all passionate about different things. I don't know if I'll ever sit back and watch them. But maybe, now that you've said that, maybe next time I will have a different, more informed view of the midges.
Yeah. And, these midges, they're not an important food source just for our wildlife, but we actually use them to feed, like, our pet fish and other animals that we raise at home. If you've ever heard of bloodworms, that's what the larvae of some of these midges are. They're like little maggots that are red because they contain hemoglobin, which helps them bind oxygen so that they can breathe in really oxygen poor environments, like right along the sand bed of the Great Lakes.
And so is it right along the lake where we would find the most midges? Or, I mean, where do they like to congregate more than other places?
Yeah, you're going to find a lot along the lakefront just because there's a big body of water where a lot of midges will be coming out of, but you're going to find plenty around other ponds as well.
Wow. And you said only 2 weeks?
Yeah, in about a couple weeks, this won't be such a worry anymore. There will still be some midges, but they're just not going to be out en masse.
Interesting, because it feels like they stay around forever.
Yeah, I mean, there will definitely be some species that are out throughout the summer, though.
And how do we know which ones are non-biting and which ones are biting?
Yeah, a good point. So it's the mosquitoes that are biting, and then there's a family of biting midges called sandflies that you might find along the lakefront. The biting midges are really, really tiny, and you'll just know they'll bite because they'll fly to your legs and give you a quick little nibble. And they're quite irritating. These midges will just kind of leave you alone. The way to tell a midge apart from a mosquito, however, is a couple ways. If you do get an up close look, you can look at their mouth parts. Mosquitoes have that long needle-like mouth part, at least the female mosquitoes that bite do. Male mosquitoes and midges have shorter mouth parts that can't bite. Um, Also, you can tell if they're biting from their antennae. So the midges might have a little bit fuzzier antennae, especially the males. Male mosquitoes don't bite, by the way. They also have fuzzy antennae. The female antennae aren't going to be quite as bitey. And the biggest character, which you won't see unless you get out a magnifying glass, but if you look at their wings, mosquitoes have scales that occur along the veins of their wings, and then the midges don't have those.
I just keep covering my face because I'm making horrible facial
But yeah, if they're not flying,
expressions.
at you, intentionally trying to land at you, kind of buzzing in your ear, it's not going to be a biting midge.
All as you're talking, all I'm doing.
So yeah, if you do walk through a cloud of them, just keep your mouth shut because sometimes they will end up in there.
Oh my goodness, this is a lot.
But they're non-toxic.
Oh. So these are related to mosquitoes.
I mean, they're both flies that are kind of slender-bodied, with long, thin legs and kind of similar antennae.
Okay, one other thing that I think people will wonder about this time of year are cicadas. Are we expected to see cicadas again this year?
Yeah, so we will see the group of cicadas that come out every single year, which are collectively called annual cicadas. Big group of those are the dog day cicadas. Those will come out later in the summer. So think around July is when you'll start to hear those.
Okay.
We're not going to see the mass emergences of the periodical cicadas again for more than a decade.
Ah, all right. We'll be grateful. I'm sorry for that. Many of us, maybe not everyone, but many of us will be grateful for that. So, among the creepy crawlies, what else is kind of on your radar for the summer months around here?
Yeah. Well, right now, just with Memorial Day weekend, we've kicked off our butterfly monitoring season for the Illinois Butterfly Monitoring Network, which is our community science program where we collect data on butterfly populations in natural areas throughout Illinois. So as that data starts pouring in, I'm just kind of excited to see how the butterflies are doing this year.
Well, that's something I can celebrate. What else?
I don't know. I always have to just wait and see what I find when I'm out in the field. But really, I'm just looking forward to getting out there and starting my butterfly monitoring as well. I have a route up in Skokie Lagoons, and there's some fun butterflies there. Like there's one called the Appalachian-eyed brown.
Oh, that's near Botanic Gardens?
Yeah, up there near the Botanic Gardens.
Okay, all right. So is this a large community of people who go out and do the monitoring?
Yeah, we have well over 100 volunteers, and the program's been going on for over 30 years. And just last year, we surpassed our millionth butterfly observation.
Wow. Okay, now, do you have to be like a someone to partake in this? Or if someone's like interested, they could join you all?
Basically, anyone who's interested can join us. However, we just finished our recruitment period now that the monitoring season's begun. But if you'd like to learn more, you can go to ibmn.org, and we have a bunch of information available there. But the way to get involved is click on the little Apply Now button there, fill out that form, and then come next spring, we'll send you some information about our training workshops. You just attend one over Zoom, and we'll explain how you follow our data collection protocol and train you on how to identify some of our common species found around here.
Super cool stuff. So you're saying don't just go out to Botanic Garden and try to think that you're going to do it on your own.
Yeah, correct.
We always appreciate talking to you. Again, you have a different perspective than most, so we appreciate your expertise in lending that to us to learn something new.
Hey, job security for me. I don't mind.
Trust me, I am not coming for your job. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye. Love learning something new every day. And it really is true. You know, we're all passionate about different things. And I love just talking to other people who are passionate about different things. So great conversation with him, Alan Lawrence there from the Peggy Notebart Nature Museum. Let's take a 2-minute break. I'll set you up for where we're going in the 2 o'clock hour here on Chicago Live. All right, welcome back, everyone. 2 o'clock right now. And before I go over some of the things that we've lined up for the 2 o'clock hour, I want to take a look at breaking news that's happening out in Dallas. This is the Oak Cliff area, more specifically, so South Dallas, where we're seeing the firefighters try to get control of a huge fire. And you can see, they're getting that water on it, but you do have some darker smoke and then also the lighter smoke that's coming up from the areas, but so much damage here. Dozens of fire units out there trying to respond to this and get it all under control here. This is, if you're familiar with Dallas, it's near the Dallas Zoo, okay? So right now we know that there are damaged buildings. We know that there are some damaged vehicles in this area. We've been able to see that even from the chopper view that they've had here. Fire rescue says that the fire was a result of a reported explosion, but the details still unconfirmed here. So they've had over 100 firefighters on the scene, one person taken to the hospital. Obviously the number could change here. They don't even say at this point in time how many people were inside of that building when it went up in flames. So, and I mean, look at this, how far out the helicopter is and how much you can see that smoke, a thick smoke into the air. So it's a situation, I mean, even from here I can still see some flames. So it's still a developing situation there as we zoom in. I mean, there's just not much of the building where this started right now, but we're not sure of the extent of the issues going on here. Again, in South Dallas, where there was a huge fire at this building, causing over 100 firefighters to have to respond to this near the Dallas Zoo. A structure, that's all I know, is that a structure that was in flames moments ago. Now a lot of smoke, still seeing some flames, but look over there on that right-hand side, you can see, the response was huge. Because the fire was huge. And so it looks like they have the bulk of it out, but not finished with the firefight just yet. Again, here in Dallas, near the Dallas Zoo, South Dallas, where we're seeing this huge effort to salvage anything that they can. And we're not sure, we know one person was taken to the hospital, but not sure if there will be other reported injuries. I mean, look at all the damage there. Right at the top of your screen, the damage where the firefighters are pouring the water. Look, I mean, they're just kind of like throwing it over to the side, just shards, pieces of whatever the structure was that was there. And still some flames shooting up from this structure even now, with so many firefighters in there trying to do what they can. So not sure if there were other people inside, certainly hoping, given what we're seeing on our screens, that there weren't other people inside, but one person taken to the hospital so far. As we get some new information, we will pass that along to you. But a huge firefight for those first responders there, certainly wishing the best for all of the brave first responders that came out and are working to do their best to get that fire out there in Dallas. Bringing things back here into the studio, it's 2:03. We are going to talk about park cleanup a little bit later on in the hour. This is a wonderful effort, as we've talked so much about getting back outside, enjoying our wonderful city. This is an effort where we can all participate in to beautify the city that we love so much while the weather is holding up well. We're going to talk to Lauren Scafidi as she's doing a follow-up on a cold case. This is day 2 now that she's been working on cold cases and, new developments that come out of them. And again, you go back into that idea of whenever you have a cold case, the family that's been waiting, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, even if it's days, to sit and worry about your loved one, the emotions that come from that. She's going to get into that around 2:30. She'll be up here with me detailing the follow-up that she's working on today. We're going to talk about digital ad taxes. That's a new space that we've got to explore now that all of us are online and doing, more and more things. Digital ad taxes. We talk about taxes for everything else. Now digital ad taxes. But we're starting here with an important conversation about microplastics. Even when we're watching the firefight, one of the things that many people talk about with firefights, and they've come a long way in this, is some of the chemicals that are used to put out fires and the PFAS that can end up in water. But when it comes to microplastics, they can get in your food in a multitude of ways. And so we have Erica Beth Levin, who is joining us. She founded Global in 2020. They have glass jars for baby food. And we're talking to you as now we're finding out from a new study that there could be microplastics from like pouches of baby food getting into the actual food that children are consuming. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an important conversation.
It really is. 11,000 microplastic particles in a single pouch. And kids have sometimes multiple pouches a day.
Actually, 65% of kids have more than one of these pouches at a time. So yeah, it's a concerning number. It is not surprising from all of the research we've been doing for all of these years, but Greenpeace International did just come out with its first kind of formal study on microplastics as it pertains to the baby food pouches, which are about 60 to 70% of the entire baby food aisle. So that is the predominant way that babies are being fed store-bought baby food in this day and age.
Yeah, and when you think of that, the fact that it's kind of overwhelming in terms of how babies are consuming their food and what's available out there,
Correct.
How do you think the industry will react to a study like this?
I mean, this is a new study, but it's not new news, right? I mean, if you think about plastics in general and the microplastic studies that have been out there, how could it not pertain to the plastics in baby food? But at least now we have a formal study that's talking about it. But yeah, I mean, we have studies on how the microplastics have been crossing the brain-blood barrier. There's much out there. So the concern is for babies that they are still growing, right? Their organs, everything is still in flux to some degree. So it's even more dangerous because we just don't know the full effects, especially if it's taking place at such a fundamental time in their growth.
Yeah, so you were seeing the studies years ago. You decided to kind of take a solution oriented approach to this. Tell me a little bit about how you were feeling about what you were seeing, what you were experiencing yourself and your journey, and how you decided to change things.
Sure. I mean, I was sitting at my kitchen table during COVID, trying to feed my second child, and I'm like, what is this aisle, the baby food aisle, all about? Right? It's bland flavors, and it's in single-use plastic pouches, which, in addition to the microplastics, the sustainability issue is also, something to think about. But also, like the pouches, you're squeezing your food into a child's mouth. Either they do it themselves or you help them with it. So they're not learning how to chew. These are basic oral motor development skills that are being stifled by this. Dentists are now saying that these pouches, because the contents are so sugar laden, even naturally, that they sit on the baby's teeth, and now they're getting cavities before the age of 1. So all of these things are in my head as I'm trying to feed my baby. And we're a family, a foodie family, both professionally and just in our family heritage. And it's something that we use to teach our kids, about that kind of stuff. So I wanted a way that is really the way the rest of the world feeds their kids. I wanted flavor, I wanted texture, I wanted spice, and I wanted no exposure to plastics as far as I could control that. And so I dug really deep in the research, and I realized that this needs a solution to a problem that is very, very Western. People all over the world are feeding their kids what it is that they're eating. And around the world, they don't have the same prevalence of picky eating kids with food allergies. So for all of these reasons, I built a new baby food brand, and I put it in glass because it was that important to me, that even the expense of glass, the operational complexity of it, the shipping and all that, it didn't matter. We were going to find a way to do it because those microplastics it wasn't an option. I wasn't going to give other babies things I wouldn't feed my own kid.
And how has it been received?
I mean, really, really well. I mean, unfortunately, we're having to kind of go back in time to the early Gerber days, it's like, so we're having to re-educate on, why glass is good and why it can be just as convenient as a pouch. But if you think about the process, even that we use to cook our food, right? Our process is going to be different than others, but it's a heating process. It's almost like a canning process, an old-fashioned canning process. Think of the heat that we're using to pasteurize these pouches, right? That in and of itself is going to increase the leaching of plastic into the food. I mean, it's just it's science, right? The heat helps with that. The squeezing, when they squeeze the pouch into their mouth, that also releases even more microplastics. So the reception has been great, but it still requires a lot of education because of our current baby food aisle and the state of it, and having to kind of undo a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you talk about, two things that I want to get into. One is like going back into the early days of Gerber. And that is true. Like when you said that, I'm like, yeah, we used to have glass, Gerber, all over the place.
Yes.
But the other aspect is the convenience. And it seemed like as we became more of a microwave society, that the pouches just kind of really exploded in popularity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really was just a matter of the convenience. People don't think about throwing glass into their bag, but really, we're shelf stable, so it's just as easy. We don't need a microwave or a refrigerator or anything. TSA allows glass through security. They allow baby food through security. It's just certainly not as complicated as we think, and it's really just a throwback to what we had always done. And as a busy working parent, I knew I couldn't take away that convenience factor. So like, how do we make it convenient while keeping our babies safe, encouraging their oral motor development, their palate development, acceptance of new flavors? And so we're trying to pack a lot of stuff into one little jar, but it's been exciting, and it really is the way that babies are fed everywhere. But here, really, like I said, it's a Western sort of problem.
And how hard is it for you to keep this strategy of going with glass?
Yeah, I mean, it is, like I said, operational complexities. It is way more expensive, right? But we are not increasing the cost of our jars because it's that important, and we'll figure out a way, right? I mean, you can create efficiencies in your supply chain and all of that. But it's definitely not been the easy route, but it is the right route, because we go into the baby food aisle at any of our trusted stores, right? And we're picking out a pouch because we're told it's good, because there's little icons on it that say organic or non-GMO or no BPA. But those are the exact pouches that were tested in this study, are the ones that you think are the best option out there because of these claims. So it really is problematic. So we're not going to be changing out of glass. We're just encouraging the rest of the industry to join us.
And what do you say to people who maybe think it's like overboard? It's like when you have your first child, and everything has to be pristine, top of the line, biodegradable, all of those things. Yeah. And then, you get to child 3 and it's like, oh yeah, that's fine, that kind of thing. So what do you say to people who are like, maybe that's overboard?
But these are not the things that we should be making concessions on, right? I mean, there are ways to go overboard. I did it myself. And actually, one of the reasons I built this company is because with my son, I was so hesitant to give him texture, flavor, spice. Allergens were concerning, all of that. And with the second, you just hit the nail on the head. It's like, she'll be fine. Let's just try this coconut curry as her first food, But really, that was the impetus for starting Global was, oh my God, she should be eating this way, right? Like, why are we sanitizing our food? So yes, you can go overboard, of course, but I don't think, using glass is going overboard. That's just reverting back to behavior we've always had that has always been more sanitary, healthier, and cleaner.
Thank you so much for the conversation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, take care.
Have a good one.
2:14, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and then we'll get into our next discussion about digital ad taxes. Okay, 2:16 right now. Still watching that firefight down in Dallas. Nearly 100 firefighters that are out there trying to get that fire under control. I do believe we still have a live picture. Perry, can we? Yeah, there we are. Where you can see, you've got firefighters that are trying to pour water onto what we're still seeing flames come from the structure here. I do know at this point, this is an apartment complex. Where an explosion took place today there in Dallas, and you've got firefighters trying to dig through the rubble, firefighters trying to get the flames out. Just a huge response there from first responders in this area, not too far from the Dallas Zoo, again on the south side of Dallas in Oak Cliff. Only one person that we know of who's been transported to the hospital, but not sure if there were other people who were in that building. Certainly, looking at this thing, we hope there was no one else who was in that building, but only one person in this 2-story apartment complex who has been taken to the hospital with injuries. Don't even know the extent of those injuries right now. As you can see, just a lot of smoke. So many firefighters that are out there doing their best to get that whole situation under control, with just pieces of the apartment complex all over the place from that explosion. So again, we're keeping our eyes on that, but we want to get into our next discussion here about digital ad taxes. In fact, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce is urging the General Assembly to reject a proposed new tax on digital advertising in Illinois that would increase cost on small businesses, and some say it would make it harder for businesses to reach customers in this digital age. I want to bring in Carl Gutierrez, the Vice President of Government Relations for the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
And we are, for sure, in a digital age. That's how we are even speaking right now. And the people who are watching us, this is an online show. So talk a little bit about how that has raised the importance of this conversation.
Well, where we come from as a chamber is just as a member advocacy organization. So what we see, and we have the benefit of having members from across all sizes and spectrums. What we see with something like this is that while it's ostensibly seeking to raise revenue from large, tech companies, all the ones that we know that serve as platforms for digital ads, the reality, and this is important, the reality is that this will function as a regressive tax, be moved down to mid and small size companies and have a disproportionate impact on them. And that's where it becomes problematic for us from a pure economic and business advocacy policy perspective, which is that because of the role, and the really important role and critical role that digital ads play for small businesses, mid-sized businesses, this proposal will cut directly into that. When you talk to a small business, when you talk to a mid-sized business, there is going to be a direct correlation between the amount of advertising on a digital platform that they do and the amount of customers they can get coming in. So with the tax like that and the regressive tax like that, budget that they would have for advertising would be cut in to the service of that tax. But in doing so, remove their ability to reach more potential customers, get more foot traffic, et cetera, et cetera. And these are, our local bars. They're going to want to promote a particular event at that bar. They're going to have a X amount to have for their marketing budget. That budget's going to get cut, and in doing so, cut the ability to, support their business, advertise what they're doing. And, we hear it all the time, but it's actually true. Small businesses are the lifeblood of our communities, of our lifeblood of our commercial corridors. We're hitting into this issue.
So explain, you said it's a regressive tax. Explain how this would work for a business.
So the tax, as proposed, is essentially structured to focus just on larger companies by the way that it's set up. But these larger companies will just push that cost onto their own customers, i.e. these smaller businesses that use their platforms. So in that way, that's why it is regressive, that though it's essentially about one thing, the cost itself is going to trickle down to others.
And maybe because you're with the Chamber of Commerce, give us a better picture of what small business or mid-sized business owners are really experiencing right now, even before this goes forward?
Yeah, well, on that level, I mean, this is things that, and this is, we're a member advocacy organization. When we talk to our members, this is what they tell us. They talk about the pressures of costs of tariffs. Obviously now the call it the uncertainty around gas prices and energy prices, and you just go down the list of these challenges. Incidentally, being the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, we also get an earful from members having to do with sort of regulatory challenges, compliance challenges that they're having to regularly navigate certainly within Chicago and the broader region. As an advocacy organization, we're down in Springfield right now, advocating against digital ad tax as a state function too, because what's good for Illinois is good for Chicago. What's good for Chicago is good for Illinois. We want to see success. We want to see wins. And something like this is just going to have another layer, another challenge for these mid-size and small-size entities that are already just having it a tough go of it as it is. One thing that we also like to emphasize, because it's true, is that God bless those large companies. Good for them for the success they have. What they have that these smaller entities don't is the kind of scale effect and the resources to navigate these new challenges, these new costs. They can do things that these smaller entities can't do, which is why the disproportionate impact is real and why we're so concerned about this and why we're down here advocating against this.
When I'm sure as you all prepare to go down to Springfield, or maybe even before then, you are doing your homework, you're looking to see, who else has this kind of tax? Are other states already enacting this type of tax?
I'm glad you brought that up because it actually touches on another point that is a central concern for the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, which is that in 2 states that have sought to put this into place, they were immediately litigated. The main example right now is Maryland, where they had passed this a couple of years ago. It's since been under litigation. It's still under litigation. Our understanding from counterparts in Maryland is that the General Assembly there, the legislature there, is preparing for this issue to be overturned. And in overturning it, they're going to have to return the money with interest, and which goes into a broader thing too, as far as kind of a public policy perspective from the Chicagoland Chamber, which is that we shouldn't be doing things and advancing policies and advancing legislation that are currently under litigation in other states. It's the high legal risk that it's not worth entering into. And whether, and anecdotally, even if in the magical scenario we were okay with the impact on small business that this would have, we would still be against the bill because of the litigation risk that this thing represents. And on a broader level, in terms of addressing our state's structural fiscal issues, which are real and which we do care about, we want to do it in a way that is equal to the challenge that's facing. We do have a problem. There needs to be a solution to that problem. That solution needs to be equal to that problem. This isn't that. And it is unfortunate that it is being presented as a source of new revenue when in reality, that's probably not going to be the case. The reality is the predictable consequence of this measure is that litigation for the state of Illinois for an untold amount of time, and for frankly for good reason. The federal law is pretty clear on its position. It has having to do with digital ads. This would be in direct conflict with that federal law, so we wouldn't be in a good position in terms of fighting this within the courts, which is hence the legal risk, hence our opposition, and hence why we're down here in Springfield saying this is not a good idea. We need to find another way.
Yeah, you touched on a point that I wanted to get into, which is I'm sure for proponents of the tax that they look at this as a way to close the budget gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our line is no, it's not. This is all that glitters is not gold, and we need to look at these problems open-eyed and in a clear and honest way. How do we, what are the problems and how do we solve them? And we build out from there. This isn't that. What this does do is it allows certain proponents to say that we're going after the big companies. You do what you got to do politically. You do what you got to do for your own politics. But when it comes to actually solving actual policy problems, actually addressing the issues in front of us, this won't do that.
And I guess then you get into what where do we make the line of big company, small company, mid-size? Like, how many employees or what kind of revenues? What would classify or demark the different classifications?
Well, we could, there are, certain statuses that you could talk about in terms of revenue generation, in terms of employee base. But frankly, that's kind of a moot point. You do have a threshold that's written into the proposal that ostensibly addresses that. Our point is that that doesn't necessarily matter. It's a distinction without a difference. You can, have it written that you're going to be going, trying to focus on large companies, but that goes into the regressive nature of the tax, where these large companies are simply going to pass on the cost of this tax to their end users, which invariably are going to be the mid and small size companies.
Okay, well, only a few more days left of this session. So where are we with this, and what do we think is getting ready to happen? Do you think your efforts being down there in Springfield are going to be effective?
I'll answer the second question first. Yeah, we're down here not for our health. We're down here to have an impact and have the voice of the chamber and the voice of the chamber members heard. So we are working hard to ensure that this message gets across. In terms of the first part, that's the $1 million question. If you come down to Springfield and walk around the Capitol, that's the question that everyone's asking. And as it happens every year, the truth is there's no one knows. We're gonna, all you can do is go forth and, advocate for what you believe is right and do it as effectively as possible and hope that when these measures are ultimately filed, that they are in the place that we want them to be.
Well, thanks so much for joining us to tell us about what's going on. Obviously, all
Pleasure.
eyes are on Springfield right now as we approach, a big deadline coming up on Sunday. So please keep us updated.
Yeah, I will. And by Monday, we'll know what happens. And I'm only too glad to share with you and your audience.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, everybody, it's about 2:29, so give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. Our next discussion, we're hoping we'll have Lauren Scafidi up here so that we can talk a little bit more about her follow-up to that cold case I told you about that she was working on yesterday, a family that waited decades for some answers, not necessarily for a positive result, but for some answers and justice in the end. welcome back, everyone. 2:33 right now. Lawrence Cafidi is here. Lauren, I was telling everyone about your story that you were working on yesterday, and it's sad. It feels senseless, I think are maybe my best words for it. But you're following up on it. Let's talk about where you're going with this.
Yeah, let's take you back to yesterday, because yesterday I was at the Kane County Judicial Center all day waiting for this to happen. So we got there at 1:30 and we were waiting on that verdict. Of course, Taisha Bell's family wanted that guilty verdict, and they did get it. So I want to break it all down from the beginning. So this all goes back to so long ago. We're talking 23 years ago that 22-year-old Taisha Bell went missing. You know, her mom was like, you know, where is my daughter? And ended up calling police. So I just want to give you kind of a timeline here, and then I'll go into some more detail just so you can kind of understand. So 2003, Taisha Bell goes missing. Okay, 17 years go by. 2020 is when her remains were found. In 2022, her boyfriend at the time, Prince Cunningham, was charged with first-degree murder, and now 2026, we're finally seeing this thing go to court and getting that guilty verdict. So this is something that this family has been dealing with for 23 years, and so that's why this really is such a big deal. And you know, they've been wanting answers for more than 2 days. I got the chills just talking about it. But here's how it all happened. So on May 9th, Taisha Bell was supposed to meet Prince Cunningham outside of her Aurora apartment. So they shared a 1-year-old daughter, a very, very young daughter. So, you know, there were some arguments about child support. At one point, you know, child support was getting taken out of his paycheck. At another point, he was paying her cash for that. They had kind of worked something out. Well, Taisha Bell's car had broken, and so Prince Cunningham was going to, apparently, the night of May 9th, 2003, give her a really big payment for that car, about $12,000, and that's the night that she went missing. So, you know, she goes missing, and then her family has no idea what's going on, especially because she left her purse, her ID, and a candle burning in her apartment. So 17 years go by. No one knows what's going on. In December of 2020, so many dates and so many things going on in my head. In December of 2020, a surveyor was out in Montgomery looking at some land and found a skull. And then all of those remains were tested, and it turns out that that was Taisha Bell. Just so devastating. You know, I was talking to the family yesterday, and they said when those remains were found, it was kind of just like reliving all of this nightmare just all over again, right? Because for 17 years, it's like what happened, and then you got to relive it all. So then a couple years later, Prince Cunningham was charged, and now we went to trial. We heard a lot yesterday. It was really interesting to hear in court kind of how this all went down. And in closing statements, you know, the prosecution said that Prince Cunningham had the motive, the means, and the opportunity to commit this crime. The defense had a lot to say about another relationship that Taisha Bell was in, you know, kind of like a distraction. Prince Cunningham did not testify in court yesterday, and there were a lot of Aurora police officers in court, like a lot of them. I think just kind of showing their support for this case, you know, that's been going on for so long because they were involved
Really
in it.
shows that they stayed on it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I talked to the family, and I really wanted to ask them this question. I said, does this bring you closure, this guilty verdict, first-degree murder? Does this bring you closure, or does this open up more wounds? And they said, it's a little bit of both, right? You get closure. They really wanted that guilty verdict, and they got it. But it's like, oh, here we go again. It's been more than 2 decades, and we're still dealing with all of this. I asked them what it was like to be in that room with Prince Cunningham, and they said that it was tough, you know? And as soon as they read that guilty verdict, I did watch Prince Cunningham. I wanted to see kind of like what everyone did in the room, right? So I did see Cunningham kind of look back at the family quickly, and of course the family just broke down. Everybody, you can just see them all sink, tears, hugging each other.
Was their daughter there?
Yes, she was. Yeah, so her daughter is a teenager now, and is having a really hard time with this, is what the sister tells me.
And I asked that because when I was describing the case, I was saying, when I saw that you were on it yesterday, that was my first thought, was like, well, if she was 1 or 2 at the time, this is a, you know, early 20s young woman now. I would wonder, was he a doting dad this whole time and you didn't know that he had killed your mom?
Yeah.
You know, you what kind of relationship did they have during this time?
Yeah. And I wanted to ask the family that, but I almost felt like it was a little bit too much. You know, they had a lot going on. They were dealing with a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And so I asked a couple questions. I was like, is she here? Can you point her out to me? And I just kind of left it at that. You know, I'm hoping to talk to them a lot more, as this is just the beginning, right? We have sentencing coming up on July 31st at 1:30, so that's something that we're definitely going to be a part of. But it's obviously a very emotional and sensitive time for this family. And this, she was a young girl. She's still a young girl. So I didn't want to overstep or you know, be too much.
Yeah, I mean, that was just my main concern.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a like put a mic in,
Right.
but it's a, gosh, I just wonder what she's been through this whole time.
Exactly.
I mean, I know you spoke with like a sister and the friends, but
Yeah.
ultimately, this is your mom and dad.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You know, I mean,
And she's in court watching it all.
now you don't have either parent.
Right. Exactly.
And you know, sometimes things can get very complicated from that standpoint. Like, what was he not in her life this whole time? I wondered, in talking with the sister and friends, did they suspect him all along?
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They said that they knew that this was going to happen one day. They just didn't know when it would be or how long it would take. And here we are, you know, decades later, and here's what happened.
Wow.
So it was really emotional to
tough.
talk to the family. So we're going to bring you that full story later today. You know, we had a shorter story at 9 o'clock. We were in court all day. Actually, it was very interesting. We were told that we were going to get a verdict by 6 o'clock, and if there was no verdict at 6 o'clock, then we would be back at 9 o'clock today, the next morning, to finish it all up. And it was 6 o'clock, and we were all upstairs outside the courtroom, just kind of looking at each other, right? And at like 6:11, they opened the doors and they said, "Hey, come on in." So it was very, very interesting and just really sad.
Were Prince's was Prince's family there?
I asked, they didn't know, so I left it at that. Yeah, but a lot of support there for Taisha Bell. I mean, a lot of support. And her family says, you know, Prince Cunningham cheated them out of so much. Prince Cunningham cheated them out of a father for their daughter, a mother for their daughter, for their cheated her
for the young
granddaughter.
lady.
Yes, exactly. There's so many connections.
Yeah.
Cheated, you know, a mother, a little sister, just so much for them. And they're saying, you know, what would she be like today, 20 years later? What would she be like? What would her personality be like? Because back then she was the life of the party. She was so generous. She would give you the clothes off her back. You know, that's how they described her.
Yeah, I mean, 22. Like, you know, she was just coming into her own when her life was cut short. And so you've got to be happy that you finally have some justice, but boy, does that still just leave so much there for you to try to heal from, because you would think haven't really had the opportunity to heal, because initially you're wondering where the person is, whatever happened to her. 17 years later, then you're finding out finally what actually happened. That's opening up that wound.
Oh yeah.
Finding out what actually happened to her, but still no justice. And then it takes even more years for you to finally get to this point where somebody is behind bars, somebody who you suspected from the beginning, but 2 decades before that person is, you know, finally getting ready, and it's still not over, getting ready to be sentenced.
And sentencing could bring a minimum of 45 years behind bars, and they were very, very excited to hear that. They said they want life, but they were excited to hear 45. So at least, right?
Oh,
so,
what a tough case. But it's also one of those cases where you just think of how many other families there are out there who are hoping that one day, you know, however long it takes, one day they have even that opportunity to sit and get some type of justice for some wrong that was committed to a loved one. Thank you so much for staying on top of it. Thanks for coming up to talk to us about it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Anita.
All right, 2:43, everyone. Give us 2 minutes. We'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. 2:47 right now as we are continuing to watch that breaking news out of Dallas, that huge firefight that's been going on there for quite some time now. I mean, look, there's like really nothing left, and only a little bit of the exterior of this two-story apartment complex that went up in flames today. Just now seeing a statement from the mayor in Dallas who says, "I'm closely monitoring the latest developments regarding the explosion in Oak Cliff. My prayers are with those injured, their families, and all those who have suffered loss from this tragic event. Our Dallas fire rescue personnel responded swiftly, and their efforts to fight the fire are ongoing. We will continue to monitor the incident closely and support all those affected." And again, as of right now, we only know that one person was transported to the hospital, but the fire department, and keep in mind there are over or nearly 100 firefighters who are out there, they have said there could be more. There could be more injuries. This could be way worse than what we know even as of right now. Only one person who's been taken to the hospital for treatment so far, with the plumes of smoke now starting to get under control. That's about the best we have seen it in the last hour here. But neighbors just reporting a huge boom before even their apartments were shaking and some of the surrounding buildings. One person, again, taken to the hospital, but they say there could be more. So we'll continue to monitor the developments coming out of there. Just a huge explosion that took place, and not much left of that two-story apartment building that was there before all of this that's happened today. Well, we're going to move on to our next conversation here at home as we're watching the firefighters not only try to put out the fire there, but also kind of sift through the rubble. The large cleanup effort that will be ongoing well after the flames, that will be extensive there. One of the things that's happening in our area coming up is a huge cleanup effort here. Now, this isn't because some major catastrophe. It's just because this is a large city and we all can play a role in beautifying it from time to time. And so the pitch in for the park season is coming up. This is a park cleanup effort, and we have Triana Callum, who is joining us, Community Programs Manager, Chicago Parks Foundation. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So excited to talk about It's Your Park Day today. We are the Chicago Parks Foundation, and we kick off our Summer of Park volunteering events with this one citywide annual park cleanup day. It's happening this Saturday, May 30th.
May 30th, and kind of give us an idea of how the day proceeds.
Yes, of course. So we at the Chicago Parks Foundation, we equip any group that wants to host a public free cleanup in any park around Chicago on this one kickoff day. This year we have 35 parks participating, and so at each of the participating parks, we'll have a host group or individual that's there to receive volunteers, hand out complimentary cleanup supplies, share information about the park or other events happening this summer, and then lead the group in a trash pickup at the park. So we provide gloves, reusable gardening gloves, as well as plastic and paper bags so that all volunteers can pitch in at their local neighborhood park and start off the summer season beautifying Chicago's parks, which are such a valuable and important resource for our city.
Why is private support helpful in the overall efforts to make our city better?
Yes, so we at the Chicago Parks Foundation, we like to say that we connect communities with the private support that public parks need. And that just really means that we are tapping into local organizations, foundations, other donors and donor opportunities to get that funding and those opportunities into Chicago's parks. It really takes a village in terms of making these larger projects and programs happen throughout the city. And so we think of ourselves as the connector that's connecting those organizations, foundations, and donors with the public communities, with the park district, and with the community itself, with the park itself, to make these projects happen.
in years past, I mean, how many volunteers do you think you all have? How many are you prepared for?
We have seen such a great growth in our volunteer numbers. So the foundation was established in 2013, and this is our 11th annual It's Your Park Day. And so through the last about decade, we've seen over 1,900 events.
Wow.
And over 8,000 volunteers, and that's across It's Your Park Day and then the continuing public free park cleanup programming that we have throughout the season, which we call our Pitch In for the Parks program. So we keep those good park vibes going, and we love to see all the volunteers coming out throughout the season, not just on this one day for their parks.
Yeah. And do you have some type of data that shows the difference that effort has made in those more than a decade?
We often, we love taking pictures and showing off the large mounds of trash that our volunteers collect at cleanups. We always like to show that off on our social media and on our website, that kind of thing. But we generally track for trash pickups the amount of trash bags collected.
Mm-hmm.
We also do activities where we mulch trees in a park with groups of volunteers, as well as topping up the wood chips in playgrounds in Chicago's parks. And so that that effort is important as well, not just keeping the park clean, but beautifying it and getting it ready for a season where it's highly used by the community members. And last summer alone, we had 28 of these more specific park enhancement events where we did mulching and wood chip resurfacing, and those are at parks all around the city.
Yeah, I would wonder how many pounds of trash you all have bagged over the years. I'm sure it's up there.
Definitely. Yes, it's definitely, it's always impressive to me when I'm leading a park cleanup how there's always more trash than meets the eye, especially in those large Chicago parks along the lakefront, in the West Side. They're getting so much use throughout the summer months, and there's always a need for volunteers to pitch in and give back to their local park to keep it beautiful and ready for the next generation, the next year or month of users.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you all are out there, I'm sure you all come across any number of things. Have you ever come across some treasure find?
Not since I have been doing these park cleanups. I can't report anything super interesting or exciting, but sometimes there's some funky things that you find in the park, and we always, we ask our volunteers to let us know if they found something interesting and something exciting. But as of yet, nothing to report.
Okay, all right. Well, no time like the present. Who knows what will come up? But I would wonder, is this a full family event? Is there an age limit? Do you have some restrictions there?
Yes, so It's Your Park Day and Pitch In for the Parks, which is the season-long continuation of It's Your Park Day, both are fully family-friendly, open to any age. We provide supplies that kids can wear the gloves, adult can wear the gloves. They're meant to be usable by anyone, and we love to see people of all ages interacting and engaging at their local park, not only giving back to clean it up, but also interacting with their local community, learning more about what the park has going on, and becoming more invested in this wonderful local resource that is Chicago's parks.
And I wonder, what you all's season looks like. So if you're starting this weekend, how long will you all be doing these?
Yes, so we have this one kickoff day, It's Your Park Day on Saturday, with 35 cleanups happening on that one day. But then via Pitch In for the Parks, we continue to equip any group that wants to host a cleanup in any park, anytime, June 1st through October 31st. So we kind of serve as the back office to provide that planning, coordination, delivering the supplies for free. and serving as a, point of contact if anything comes up. But any group, whether it's a block club or a school group or a group of friends, it doesn't have to be anything formal. They can then take the supplies and get out into the park and engage their community in a free park cleanup.
Wonderful. Now, let's say someone loves what you all do, but maybe for one reason or another they're unable to join you in one of these efforts. How can they support what you're doing?
Thank you for asking. So I manage our volunteer programming that happens May through the end of October, but we also at the Chicago Parks Foundation have a ton of other events and programs open to the community that have the same goal of bringing community members and Chicagoans into their parks and engaging them in the private public park landscape. We have our own signature events, including a community 5K run in the fall. That's going to be Sunday, September 13th at 31st Street Beach along the lakefront. We also do a golf invitational every summer, Jackson Park Golf Course. You can read more about these events on our website. It's chicagoparksfoundation.org. And we always welcome anyone who is interested in learning more about what we do or has a new idea of how we can engage more community members in the parks to reach out and get in touch. We love talking to Chicagoans and hearing their experiences and listening to their ideas. So we're so grateful to be connected to so many wonderful environmental and outdoor organizations, and we hope to be that connector that is educating and fully further investing Chicagoans in what's happening at their parks.
Well, wonderful speaking with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And of course, thank you for what you all do throughout the year.
Of course, yeah. Thank you very much. I hope to see everyone out there on Saturday in the parks. I'll be out there. So thanks again and have a great weekend.
All right. You take care. All right, everyone. It's just about 2:59. So we're going to take a 2-minute break and then I'll set you up for where we're going. And just know we are really going there in the 3 o'clock hour. All right, welcome back, everyone. 3:01 right now. So we're in our final hour here of Chicago Live for the day. We've covered a lot of ground, and let me tell you, we are about to go much further. We're going to speak with the CEO and president of the Mexican American Museum here in the city of Chicago. They just got a huge grant. It's going to transform a performance space into the theater of the future that they really need for those who come through there, who will be influenced by the culture there for many years to come. That's around 3:45. Around 3:30, we'll have JD Rudd come up and get us up to date on our beautiful weather outside. We're kind of in rinse and repeat mode. It kind of feels like, but we'll see if that's the official word from him. You know, he loves to, look at the numbers, and so we'll see if we're holding up from that standpoint. We'll check in with our team downstairs and see what they're working on for our later newscast. But we're starting off with some new, pretty shocking allegations here. New claims in this age of disclosure that we're in, okay, that the United States has recovered remains of not one or two, but 4 separate species of alien life over time that the government knew about. All right, we have John Stewart, UFO researcher and filmmaker, back with us today. And well, first and foremost, I need to know where you are, because this is the first time I've talked to you with that kind of background.
Yeah, it's like Rocky Balboa. He starts off all gritty, and as he becomes more media savvy, they give you new backgrounds and they put you in a suit and tie.
Like, wait a minute.
I become civilized, so it's all over. No,
like,
I am in
usually
the
you're in your
corner of
house.
I am in the corner of my laundry room, which is they built me a podcast room, and I'm here in Deerfield on the North Shore. So yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Well, look, you're moving on up, my friend. So
yeah.
Give us your thoughts on these latest claims here about 4 species of aliens that the government may have known about for years?
Yeah, you bring me on because I sometimes have inside baseball knowledge of extraterrestrials and aliens because of my 7-year self-funded investigation into Project Aquarius, which was allegedly the government's involvement with all things contact between extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, off-planet beings, and Homo sapiens sapiens on this planet, us, human beings. And yes, as shocking as this is, and we will get to the man that made this claim, who I've had a cordial relationship with for 7 years. Look, I've been surrounded by intelligence agents, private contractors, military people, retired military people, scientists who were in the legacy program involving extraterrestrials. It's more that they say than is 4 species. However, let's stick to the claim made by who we're going to talk about, Dr. Hal Puthoff, who was with the Stanford Research Institute and the Institute for Advanced Studies in Austin, and had very deep tangential relationships with the government and the CIA, and he made this claim. And I just want to tell you that I hope we have time today, but yes, the government, the United States government, since 1945, before Roswell, there was a crash in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and we have retained and stored in various states of storage, whether it be cryogenic or deep freeze, or in the 40s, which would be a formaldehyde. We have and still have to this date alien extraterrestrial bodies at around 10 to 12 facilities around the country, and I can name them if you'd like, but take it to the bank. The United States government has and does have these bodies, has examined them, and as my bizarre 3-minute film that I've been researching has shown, has interrogated for long-term purposes and long-term use actual living extraterrestrial entities. And this hasn't been one person. My colleague, Dr. Stephen Greer, has over 700 witnesses that have testified to the legacy program, and about 200 witnesses that have gone on record, testimonial, signed affidavits, where they have actually touched, saw, recovered, autopsied, interrogated extraterrestrial living beings. this phenomenon is real. And I told you weeks ago, Anita, the world and the people of my hometown, people of Chicago, need to prepare for the shock that's coming. We're done looking at strange blips in the sky, and we appreciate Donald Trump, our president, and the government giving that to us. It's time to show us the pilots of these crafts. We have the video, we have the photos. I'm speaking directly to President Donald Trump. It is time to release the hounds, release the autopsies, the video of these beings, alive and dead.
So why do you think we're getting this slow trickle instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off?
Well, this is uncomfortable for me to say. It's three reasons. I honor President Trump. I think he wants to go down in history as a great leader. And in this day and age, a great leader is someone that is ripping the Band-Aid off of disclosure, whether it be the Martin Luther King assassination, JFK assassination, and the $64,000 question that has eluded us for millennia and for the past 80 years. Are we alone? Have we been visited by other beings? Anita, behind our backs, with the lights turned out after midnight, we have built multiple underground facilities to house these beings, retain these beings, interrogate them, and store their bodies after they depart this planet. And it's time that the government come absolutely full disclosure, full clean, 100%. Tell the public we've had these beings, we've retained them, we've interrogated them. We're not really sure where they came from or the full picture, and that's going to be okay too for the American people to hear that. But damn it, give us the video, give us the photos, the autopsy reports, give us what has been said in these interrogation sessions. And that's what my 3-minute film that I've investigated and spent $35,000, which no one has proved is an actual hoax. It's been the opposite. It's been over 13 people from the government telling me your video's real, the being is real. I found the doctor's widow that examined that being while he was in distress, respiratory distress. I contacted the DIA director, who was allegedly also in that room watching that interrogation. And the government needs to come clean, and it's up to President Trump to say, we're not going to insult the people anymore. We're not going to give them strange craft in the sky and blips. Let's give them the autopsies. Let's give them the living interrogation films from the 40s. And let's give them all of the data in regards to actual extraterrestrial beings that have been piloting these craft for millennia and transiting down to our planet.
But if we have them, who is monitoring them?
Well, it's a clandestine group. This is the rub that I have and many people like me. It is a unconstitutionally elected group of individuals. Back in the 40s, they called themselves MJ-12, the Majestic, which is the majority a military assessment of the Joint Intelligence Committee. It was a group of 12 men, scientists, military experts, who came together because of the Roswell crash to figure out, to study that we are being traversed, we are being visited by these beings, what to do about it, how to disseminate the information, and how to possibly release it to the public, which they've never done until, a month ago. And it is because they are terrified of the truth, and they're not even sure of the truth. And I can understand that. If I was in the government, I would be hesitant to release this information. You want to tell the garbage man from Chicago, this hardworking, salt of the earth guy, or his school teacher wife, you want to look these people in the eye and tell them you might have been created by an extraterrestrial entity. Our DNA has been tinkered with. So says geneticists. There might be multiple gods, little gods, that have created human beings and have monitored us for millennia. Do you really think the salt of the earth people, these wonderful individuals that have made up this world and our country, are ready for that ontological shock that is going to bounce them off the wall in the glass pane of religion and their own reality and existence? And again, for 80 years, the money, the madness, the malfeasance, and the murder that has been conducted keeping this secret away from the American public. I know it's shocking. I'm not some crazy bald guy from Chicago rattling off. You have a Congressman, Matt Gaetz, that told the world 6 weeks ago, his military contacts told him that the United States government is right now creating a hybrid alien race of human hybrids. This was said by a congressman to the public and to the media. I mean, what is going on here? And what is going on here is something that President Trump needs to get his hands on. I know it's like, as President Lincoln said, it's like holding a wolf by the ears. You hate like hell, you got to hold on to him, but you don't dare let him go. Let go of the ears, President Trump. Please tell the people the 100% truth. We don't want to know how to build a nuclear bomb, but we want to know, I'm being metaphoric, but we want to know that you have the nuclear bomb. We want to know we've been visited. You owe it to us. Those facilities, housing, and that house these beings, which is now the Dugway Proving Ground. I'm letting out a little secret here. That's where these disparted beings are being held and being biologically still examined under the American Institute of Pathology. There's another little secret hint too, and other facilities that still have these remains also. It's time to let us know. We have them, we've studied them, here's what we know, without giving us too much information that will give actors like Russia and China a leg up on technology. I don't think that's hard to desire as a tax-paying citizen.
Not hard to desire, clearly hard for the government to come through with. You mentioned Congressman Matt Gaetz. There are a lot of questions surrounding his credibility for a number of reasons. What about Dr. Howe? I mean, what do we know about Dr. Howe?
Yeah, buckle yourself in on this one. He's 90 years old. He has a doctorate in electrical engineering, and he was a parapsychologist. He started off at the Stanford Research Institute, studying remote viewing and all kinds of esoteric ESP and bizarre, again, esoteric methodologies. And he went from there and he started what's called the Institute for Advanced Studies out of Austin, where he was trying to perfect reverse propulsion and zero gravity. Of course, that grabbed the attention of the government, and so did his remote viewing abilities. Can you imagine? And they perfected it. The CIA and the NSA perfected remote viewing, which is putting a person in a room, giving him a set of numbers relating to a alleged site or an alleged object or person somewhere around the world, and that person using some sort of bizarre ESP to see what that person is doing, where that building is, or where their target is located. And they perfected it. And believe it or not, as crazy as this sounds, some of the remote viewers were transferred from Germany in counterintelligence operations in the 60s and 70s and used south of Area 51 at the Nevada Test and Training Range to thought projection, interrogate live extraterrestrials. Take that to the bank. We have interviewed 2 of these telepaths that say exactly what I have just said, that they were part of the NSA. They perfected this remote viewing capability, and it was then used to interrogate beings, because extraterrestrials do not talk. They use thought projection. This story is the Da Vinci Code. I understand it. But not only Matt Gaetz, you have Congressman Tim Burchett, you have Eric Burleson, you have Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who are all saying the same thing. Anna Paulina Luna saying that these beings are interdimensional. This is what I have been told. How do you tell a regular Joe from Chicago that we have interdimensional entities visiting this world? It's I know it's bizarre, but we're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off. I am asking as a taxpayer. I mean, I have a political pedigree. I ran for governor. I ran for Congress. I'm not some person with tinfoil on my head, spewing off these crazy theories. There are congressmen and people in government and military experts that are telling you to the best of their ability, this is happening. We've had aliens. We still have the bodies. We've been examining them. And they pilot these crafts. Anita, let me go a little bit further and I'll end here. Through psionics, which is pilot and craft as one. piloting the craft through mental ability, not with actual joysticks and controls, with the extraterrestrials' thought ability merging with the craft. Now, there's claims that there's an aerospace company that has perfected this also, using psionics to pilot a alien reproduction vehicle. It goes crazier and crazier down the line. And to get back to Dr. Hal Puthoff, this is a highly respected doctor in all kinds of disciplines who have said, I think he said, we have 4 species and we have bodies. Now, he is not going to be briefed in on the different locations. And some of the locations that we've had beings, and we still have them, would be the Dugway Proving Grounds, which they built a high-tech underground facility. They moved the bodies from a facility south of Area 51 called S2 Alpha. I've got the FOIA document. It was created and built by John F. Kennedy and Barry Goldwater, who started the DIA. The bodies were moved to the Dugway Proving Ground because Area 51 was becoming too many eyes on it. We have bodies at the Blue Room down into Wright-Patterson. We've got over 30 witnesses that testify to that. We've had bodies at Homestead Air Force Base, Kirtland, Los Alamos. That's where the first living being was taken from Roswell in 1947. What do you do with a live alien? You take it to the most technically high facility in America, what at that time was Los Alamos. And we believe we've had a couple of deceased bodies at the Stanford University, and there's many other facilities around the country. And another area, and I will finish here, was in the 1950s. So from a manual, Where to Take Living Beings, it was called BBS, OPNAC BBS. It was the Bermuda Biological Station off of the oceanic platform for North America and Caribbean. Think about it. You have aliens that are living. You don't know if they're a contaminant to the continental United States. You move them offshore to this type of oil rig platform that was a biological facility. It was started by a man named Dr. Arthur Sherlock. He was like the Elon Musk in the 40s and 50s. And that's where they took living beings until this facility that I've studied, S2 Alpha, south of Area 51, was built in the early 60s. It's a crazy story. But it's true. We've documented it, and there's just too many people, over 700 people, according to my colleague, Dr. Stephen Greer, where he's got their testimonies that this phenomenon is real, and we have the bodies in storage in captivity.
Okay, quickly. Were you talking about the
Yes.
Bermuda Triangle there?
No, I was not. It's off the island of Bermuda. It's still there. It's under a different name. The Bermuda Biological Station was its original name. It's run by the University of Arizona. Folks, look it up. And again, think about it. 47, you get a live alien. Where do you take it? You take it to the most advanced facility in America. That was Los Alamos. Now in the 50s, you build an offshore biological research facility so you don't possibly contaminate people in the continental United States, because you still don't know what these extraterrestrials are. Do they have pathogens that could wipe out our planet or our country? Mm-hmm. So they put them on this offshore platform that was also that housed this biological research station. It's the Da Vinci Code. And this is how far down the rabbit hole. And I've proven that facility. It's still there. It's run by the University of Arizona. So look it up, or Arizona State University.
John Stewart, we always appreciate having you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Appreciate it.
Take care. 3:20, everyone. Give us 2 minutes, and then we're going to bring in our 5 p.m. producer to find out what they're working on for the later newscasts. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 3:25. As always, things are really busy downstairs, so we're not quite sure if we're going to be able to get our 5 p.m. producer while we wait to see if we're going to be able to bring her into the chat today. We're going to take you back down to Dallas because this situation that we have been monitoring there has been quite an ordeal in the south side of Dallas. This is Oak Cliff, where the chopper is right now, and if you can see there in the distance now, there was a massive fire in that area. It looks like the firefighters really have gotten the better of the flames, and you don't really see much smoke coming up from this what was structure at this point, still pouring water down onto what's left of what was a 2-story apartment complex there. And this was a 4-alarm fire. Now we know it was for a gas explosion. Look at that. I mean, just charred. And I mean, there were things just strewn all over the neighborhood from the explosion. Nearly 100 firefighters got called out to this fire at one point in time, again being a 4-alarm fire in the Bishop Arts area of Dallas, Oak Cliff, for those who may know it better. And this was around, let me see, around 12:45 this afternoon when this first got called out. The 911 call got called out here, and you see 3:30 now that 70 Dallas fire rescue units are still there on the scene. So water is coming from every direction. Firefighters are going to nearby homes that where people said that they felt shaken as well. What's known at this point is that about 23 people are known to live in the building. Again, we're just looking at what's left of it right now. But 23 people are known to have lived, let me say it that way, to have lived in the building. 12 residents have been accounted for. And so far, only one person has been taken to a hospital. All right, I'll run through that again. 23 people known to have lived in that building, 12 people accounted for, and only one person who's been taken to the hospital so far. So there are a lot of questions still as to how bad this situation might end up being at the end of when all of this is said and done. There is a nearby school gym that's being used as a family service center right now. So as we get in more information about, again, that explosion that happened there in Dallas, now that they've set up this family reunification, hopefully the other unaccounted, people will be counted among those who are living and well, at least physically, right? Because if you're looking at this and you used to live in that building, whatever you loved that was in that building in terms of physical things would be gone. But physically, we're hoping that the people who lived in that building are all going to be okay. 23 that were known to have lived in the building, but only 12 who are accounted for so far, and only one person who's been taken to the hospital. So if we get that information in the next 30 minutes, if anything changes, we will let you know. That's what we know of so far. We've just been kind of trying to update you over the last hour and a half or so as we've been getting new information. That's where we are with it, that there are a lot of people who are unaccounted for right now, and just hoping that maybe they were off at work, maybe they don't know about this situation, maybe at the end of the day it's only that one person who was taken to the hospital as the only person who was injured, but it could be worse. So as we get new information, we'll pass that along. It's 3:29 though. Give us 2 minutes. JD Rudd just walked in. We'll get an update on our weather coming up after this. Welcome back, everyone. 3:31 right now. JD Rudd in the house.
Hello.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing okay. Getting closer. Well, you're at your Friday. I'm getting closer to my Friday.
It's all right. We'll all get there. It's all good. It all balances out one way or another.
It all balances out. That is true. And the weather is really working in our favor.
This is a pretty good day today. Overall, it's a little bit cooler today than what it was yesterday.
I'm okay with that.
But it's still comfortably
Yeah.
warm. It's not oppressively hot.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the sun is shining.
It's like the Goldilocks.
Yeah, not too warm, not too cool, just right. Although, it depends on where you live, because once again today we're seeing things where along the lakefront it's only around 64, 65 right now, which isn't bad.
It's not.
But some are like, could be a little warmer, and then our far interior most areas, south and west, it's about 78 to 80 right now. So it's a little toasty, but again, those areas were in the 90s yesterday.
And that's what I try to keep in mind is that, like, I'm okay with the 60s. We're not at June and July
That's right.
yet.
That's
You
right.
know?
It's not, let summer
We've
have
got
its moment,
time.
and we got tons of time. Why rush this? We always want to run. Let's just
I'm okay with the
savor,
gradual,
enjoy. Yeah.
you know,
Get there, little by
increase
little.
in temperature.
Yes.
This is okay. Now, is it a more windy day today?
A little bit more wind today. It's northeast wind, kind of holding it around 15, 20 miles per hour. It's not super windy. It's not, lose your small dog or toupee kind of a day. I mean, things are behaving on the water. Who wears toupees anymore, by the way? It's not that it's not that windy. It's just enough to make it feel comfortable. That's the thing.
Yeah. You could see the waves kind of crashing up
Yeah, a little
against, but not crazy.
No.
I don't know if we have any types and now that the beaches are open, we'll have to kind of keep on top of that in terms
Yes.
of our green flag days and our red
Yes.
flag days.
I know there was a beach hazard statement sent out just because of the wind. They're worried about some rip currents, which it's one of those things. It's, how do I properly word all this? It becomes noise after a while because they happen so often, and it's us, it's the Weather Service squawking about beach hazard, be careful, be careful. But you hear it day after day after day, you stop thinking about it, you kind of ignore it. But if you are one of those that wants to get out there in the water, even on a cooler day
Yeah.
like this, or even 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, be cautious with those waters because you never really know. I mean, we always preach about in the wintertime that no ice is safe
Right.
ice for fishing. I've always had the assumption that no water is safe water because depending upon what libations you've had, what mood you're in, what's going on around you,
Yeah.
something can happen. They're called accidents for a reason. Things can happen. So always take as many precautions as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I mean, not everybody knows how to survive a rip current.
No.
So that's also something that's worth educating yourself on.
Yes, how to swim. It's counterintuitive almost of going away from the shore for a while, which you're thinking, oh, I got to get from A to B, I got to get from here to there. No, sometimes you got to take the long way home to survive. So that's one of many things to keep in mind as you're out enjoying the warmer days and months ahead.
Yeah, and people have been out. Boy, have they! I was so we're doing a kind of like a simulcast kind of thing with our sister station in Detroit, and I was saying to them, hey, we wait
Yeah.
for the moment we can step outside without a jacket and like.
Yeah,
We
here
made
I am,
it,
world.
yeah. So the minute we get like some warmth, the streets get full.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. People are itching to get out and do anything, to shove those coats away, just to sit outside, to walk outside. And honestly, it's
Patio season.
Exactly. It's half joke, half serious. But to meet your neighbors for the first time in months, to see some friends
been
from
in
down the road.
hibernation.
That's exactly it. I mean, just outside our studios here downtown, just watching the street vendors come back out. Those little things like that, seeing some people who are just peddling whatever it might be on the side of the road. It's great to kind of
Yeah.
see. It's like, okay, we're coming alive.
Yeah.
We're blooming once again. Here
It's
we
a
go.
mood booster.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
how you
mood
know.
booster to see everybody back outside again. Hey, neighbor, good,
And
good.
even on our camera shots from earlier, where there was one lowly boat out there, but it's nice to see many more boats get out in the
Yes.
water and knowing that people are enjoying. Look at all the boats at the dock right now.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Waiting for the weekend. They're just waiting for the weekend.
Yeah, those docks will be empty. All those boats will be out farther to the left there, out in that water, just soaking it up and enjoying it.
All right, so where are we going with things?
We're gonna take a step forward and then a tiny step back,
Okay.
and then kind of level off. So tomorrow's gonna be a lot warmer than today in most cases. Tomorrow the wind is almost straight east. So many of us, I think, will jump into the 80s, but immediate lakefront areas may get held back into the mid to upper 70s, which is better than today,
Yeah.
but not bad. And then on Saturday, well, technically Friday night into Saturday morning, a weak cold front comes in. I had been putting us around 80, but I'm seeing enough indications the clouds could be thicker, the wind direction might be more northeast. Maybe it holds us back a couple degrees.
That's
so
a chill front.
So, yeah, exactly. It's not a true cold front. It's just a glorified wind shift line, if anything else. I mean, the difference between 78 and 83 isn't that much. It's psychological on a board. That's all that it is. But hey, we're all about accuracy. We're trying to be your weather authority here to kind of tell you how things are. So I think we get stuck in the 70s on Saturday. Oh, boo-hoo, stuck in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then we're back to 80 on Sunday, and it's flat 80 Monday, Tuesday, and then a warming trend by the middle part of next week. And I've got us at 87 next Thursday. I've seen some indications suggesting we could be closer to 90. I don't want to overpromise the heat, but let's also keep in mind Monday is the 1st of June.
Yeah.
June 1st is also the start of meteorological summer, so it's about that time of year we start heating things up and getting a little uncomfortable. We'll get there, though, eventually. And in terms of rain, yeah, not in this 7-day forecast.
Not a bit of it.
No.
And it's just crazy because for so long it was like, now when are we going to clear things up? JD?
The
Every day's
atmosphere's
got to have a chance.
atmosphere's all about balancing. With that stretch where it was every day had a rain chance, now every day's just got sunshine. So we're finding that middle ground. But what you don't see on this 7-day, potentially next Friday to Saturday, I'm seeing some small signals of some rain.
Oh.
I don't want to promise that. I don't want to over-advertise that because
Yeah.
it's 8 days away. A lot can change between now
Yeah.
and then, but it's something that we're going to keep an eye on as we get closer to Friday of next week.
Very interesting. And listen, as we always say, and very needed for some folks out there. So maybe we can all get a little something of what we want out of
Yes,
this.
I'm thinking that we have. Overall, we've tried to appease everyone. I think every week has brought
It's
a little
a tough
something.
order.
You're telling me. I'm back
Tough
here trying to
order.
cook all this stuff up and make it happen, but we're doing our best. And I think this is one of those. We usually get these a couple week stretches where it's just oddly comfortable and quiet. You're like, is this real life?
I think Mike Kaplan said this morning, like sunny San Diego
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah, pretty much. And you could think of it as a California forecast, a Florida forecast. This is just comfortable. It's easygoing. There's no big humidity. Soak it
Rinse
up.
and repeat. I'm
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of us are okay.
Yeah.
I actually saw a lot of folks in my neighborhood this morning out doing some seal coating on their driveways. So
You
taking the
said this
advice
is the
of getting
time.
outdoor work done because they're like, well, it's dry. Weekends, why not? Let's do it now. So get all that stuff done the coming 7 days.
No time like the present.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are there any other weather stories out there that you're kind of monitoring right
No
now?
major ones. I did catch a glimpse earlier when I was kind of thumbing through. I saw that there was a flood advisory, I think it was, for portions of eastern Florida, an area that has been in terrible, terrible
Yeah,
drought.
they need it. Yeah.
So they need the rain, but they don't
not
need
that
all of
much.
it at once. That's the thing. So if you happen to know anybody that lives down around the eastern part of Florida, from Miami up through like Palm Beach and those areas, check in on them, make sure they're doing okay, because I know sometimes when it rains heavily down there for a long period of time, the infrastructure can't keep up. So they are expected to get some heavier showers and some thunderstorms, which again, the rain is welcome, just the large amount at once is hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm trying to think of anything else across the western part of the country. I think it's still wildfires out in California, and I do believe there's going to be a couple rounds of thunderstorms, maybe stronger side storms across the Central Plains, but nothing terribly alarming right now.
The fires out in California, we've been monitoring. It did seem like they were starting, because for a couple of days they were like no containment, and you're
out of
like
control.
no containment again.
Yeah.
I feel like in the last 48 hours
They're making progress.
Yeah.
But it's like we talked about last week. These men and women are literally working around the clock, morning, noon, and night, to try to get this stuff contained. And they're doing a great job. They're finally making some headway on that and kind of starving it off a little bit. But
Yeah.
still, it's burning in some areas. But
Yeah.
the whole point now is just trying to mitigate and keep it from going where it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I saw something that said full containment here, but a new one here. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
and that's always what
goodness.
it is. It's like whack-a-mole sometimes, where you get one container, you're like, okay, great. Oh, we have two more over here. All right.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult, so tough for those folks.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming
Yeah,
up,
of course.
letting us know what's going on here at home and kind of what's percolating out there, that we, obviously can at least send our thoughts and prayers to other folks when we're sitting in the very clear
Oh, yeah.
around
100%.
here. Very clear. All right. Give us 2 minutes, everyone. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. Just about 3:45 right now, and we've got to talk about a huge gift for one of our local museums to be able to revamp a space that will help young people and many others for many years to come. So the National Museum of Mexican Art just received a $1 million donation from the Bayless Family Foundation, and we have the president and CEO of the National Museum of Mexican Art here with me, Jose Ochoa. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to talk about this with you all.
Well, congratulations, first and foremost.
Yeah, it's been very exciting, and it's been great to work with the Bayless family on this, and we have a lot of plans and dreams. So, yeah, it's been great. It's exciting.
Now, did you all apply for a grant for this, or how did this donation come about?
Sure. Well, I'm not sure how many people know, but the Bayless family they're very generous, and they have a foundation that does several things. Part of what they do is they invest in local farms and farms in the region, and to promote organic fruits and vegetables and things, farm to table sort of idea. But the other thing that they do is the investment in the arts. I can talk a little bit more about why theater, but the theater is really important to the Bayless family. And so when they knew that we had a capital campaign, we had lots of things that needed support, and that was the area that they really had interest in. The Bayless family, or Rick, was a member of the board of the museum years ago, and they've always been connected to the museum. And so we asked them to help support the capital campaign, so it's been a long conversation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And most people, when they think of Rick Bayless, you think of food. You think he's an amazing chef. He's an award-winning, multi-award-winning chef. But this is a great opportunity to maybe see a different side of him, and something that he values.
Yeah. If it's okay, I'll tell the story. I love telling the story because it's a whole thing here. When he was a little boy, I can't remember how old, maybe 10, 12 years old. I guess the family, he's from Oklahoma, and his family, I guess, would go on vacation every year so often, and he had heard about Mexico. And he went to the library and read about it and decided that that's where he wanted the family to go on vacation. So he researched and created a presentation. Not to age Rick, but this was before internet and computers and PowerPoint presentations. But so I wonder what the presentation looked like. But he did a presentation to the family and talked them into going to Mexico. And so he did. And my words that I say is that's where he met and fell in love with the first love of his life, which is Mexico, since he was a little boy. And when he was in high school, he did theater, and he loved theater. And when he went to college, he majored in Spanish, and so was continued to be connected to the culture, and still loved Mexico and Spanish and all the things from that he was attracted to about Mexico. And then he went to grad school, University of Michigan, and he met the next love of his life, Deanne, his wife. And Deanne is from Illinois. She has a background, her degree was in English, and then she was getting her master's in theater. So you might see where this is going, right? And he was getting his PhD in anthropology, and so together they love the arts and they love culture, and they got married and they picked up and moved to Mexico, and they lived in Mexico for 5 years, living with families and learning and about recipes that are some well known, some not well known, some like places all over the country. And he intimately learned and appreciated and grew and has this passion for Mexico in a way that's very special. As a Mexican American, I understand sometimes people can feel, protective of our culture, but at the same time, we have to recognize those that there's a difference between appropriation and an ambassador, and he is an ambassador for Mexican art and culture, and what he and his wife and his family have done is unbelievable. And so they love, like I said, the arts. They love theater. Their daughter Lainey went to the Chicago Academy for the Arts in musical theater. And so they're a family who loves the arts. They love the theater. They love creating. They love sharing. Their son-in-law Kevin, who runs the foundation, also has a background. His degree and career was in the theater from New York, and I think he's from Iowa, I think, the Midwest, but he was in New York, and now is here with the family, and they're that's what they're doing. They're focusing their resources on all of the things that are important to them.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
How are
So
you all
can
going to
just
be
see
able
all
to use
coming
it?
together. Yeah, well, so what we're doing is we're creating we have a space that we call, currently we call the West Wing, and it's a multi-purpose space where we have anything from, print shows to the lyric opera, brought a children's opera to the space, from a folk art like festival to blood drives, right? You have just about everything. It's a community space. And what we want to do is continue to have it as a community space where we can do all kinds of programming. But we also realize that we bring some legendary people from Mexico to come to the space and perform. And so in the future, once we're finished with the renovation, we'll have a state-of-the-art space, hydraulic stage, state-of-the-art art lighting and sound. A funny story is that we didn't even have green rooms before. And two interesting stories. This is probably way before your time, but do you know Wonder Woman?
Of course.
Linda Carter.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my childhood. But Linda Carter is Mexican American, and so she came to the museum years ago, and because we don't have a green room and we didn't have a backstage, she had to go through the audience to get on stage, which is a little awkward for people, right? The other thing is just this last year we had a performance, and it was a one-woman show. This actress from Mexico, and I guess at the end of the show she had it was covered in paint. It was a part of the show, and we have a little house across the street where our artists stay. And since we didn't have space or anywhere in the facilities, she had to run out the back door and run across the street to get into the shower to bathe. And that's not how we want our artists to have to operate. And so now we have green rooms that we just completed, and they're beautiful, and so no one's going to have to run across the street to take a shower. But that's just the way organizations you start with what you have and then you develop. And so this gift is really going to help us be a place where local artists and local companies and local organizations can participate and share their work, but also people like Lila Downs or Mexican legends like Lola Beltran, who's been to the museum, or Pulitzer Prize winners. Sandra Cisneros comes to the museum often and reads on the stage, and so it should be a place worthy for everyone. And we want to be able to celebrate those. So when people from Mexico come, another interesting thing I should say is Mexico is really much more advanced than people realize. And so a lot of the big cities, everything is LED. Well, our theater's not LED yet. And so they come and they're actually having to take a step back and adjust their technological expectations in our space, which, you know, that's interesting, right? It's not something that people would assume.
No, not
and
at
so
all.
we really need to step up and really grow our space. And the other way I think about it is that our galleries, our exhibitions are just amazing. And what we're doing right now is building the infrastructure so that the whole organization matches the excellence in our galleries. So yeah, and I'm really excited. The other thing I want to mention about the Bayless Foundation is that they support, in particular, Latino theater. And so for us, it's going to be a great way to tie in our support or our infrastructure, the resources we have, to also support the Latino theater community. So yeah, I know I go on and on, but how can I not? It's a great story.
It's good
Very
to
generous.
appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We feel the appreciation through the screen, and that's a wonderful thing. And what will be you all's timeline for the renovations that you're, you know, hoping to make overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. My background is in arts and arts administration and theater and performing arts. So when I came on board here 2 years ago, I said, let's take a little pause. Let's relook at everything. So we divided the project in a couple of phases. So we just finished the first phase, which was the green rooms, which look beautiful, and everyone's really excited about that. So the next step is we're going to take a small pause because our busy season at the museum is coming up in the fall, and then we'll start again. So we're probably looking about 12 to 18 months because we have to pause in between. Because the other good thing is that our 40th anniversary is coming up next year. So we want to have the space available to celebrate and have lots of events. So we're going to be doing pieces of it over the next 18 months. But we should be fully completed in about 18 months. But the community will start to see impact soon. So it's very exciting.
I only have about a minute left with you, but quickly tell us what is getting ready to come up. You said the busy season is getting ready to come up. What are you all working on? What do you have coming up?
Oh gosh. Well, just right now, I encourage everyone to come to the museum. We have 3 fabulous exhibits. One is Images of Faith, and some of the most renowned art pieces from Mexico are here now at the museum. And it's just an incredible exhibit. We have a very contemporary exhibit called, it just left my mind, but it's a contemporary exhibit that we celebrated, and we did a Under Pressure, excuse me, and we had a performance art piece with a couple of hundred people off of Lake Michigan talking about water and the environment, and the other piece is connecting the Chicago River and the floating gardens that are now on the Chicago River to Xochimilco, which are the ancient floating gardens in Mexico City.
Wow.
But we also have our fun adult program or event called Copitas de Sol, which is a mezcal tasting event, which is in early August. But for the kids, we have Festival del Niño, which is coming up on June 5th. I think it's June 5th.
It's
6th.
coming up.
It's a Saturday.
That's coming up quick.
Very soon. And
Thank
it's a free
you.
event. Bring the kids, and then come back in August for some adult fun too.
Sounds like a blast. Thank you so much for what you do to put culture on display. We appreciate it.
The museum is free every day, so I just want to encourage everyone to come as often as you can. Thank you for having us today.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be like Trump world.
Not just D.C. Did you see the renderings of Penn Station in New York?
No. Seriously?
Wants to put his name on a wall there.
Well, Trump's world.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
The war with Iran just took a turn, what both sides agreed to just this afternoon. Bronzeville woke up to a street full of evidence markers. The teens in the hospital and people